guys, this is Bankai reporting live from the Nexus, and today we're talking storytelling, namely that which is presented in the polarizing sequel to Naughty Dog's masterpiece of a narrative titled The Last of Us. Now I'm going to keep this video straight to the point here, guys. I won't give any disclaimers claiming to be the biggest Naughty Dog fan in the world, even though I am a big fan. I won't spend 5 minutes tearing Naughty Dog apart, even though they deserve it for trying to rule the gaming sphere with an iron fist. What I will do in this video is play you clips of the first Last of Us to show you how part 2 could have told an incredible story with no unnecessary shock value or agenda or any nonsense, and basically how they used to tell us so much about a character without that character breaking character so they can take a shotgun to the leg and die golfing while pinned to the floor by strangers they chose to go home with in the middle of a goddamn apocalypse. By the way, if you're a fan of gaming content just like this, you should definitely hit subscribe, commit to the Nexus for the most unpopular opinions on pop culture. I also do PvP commentaries and other cool gaming shit, so hit that like button and let's get into it.
Let me see.
I didn't mean for this.
Show it to me. Oh, Christ.
Oops, right? Give me your arm. This was 3 weeks. I was bitten an hour ago and it's already worse. This is fucking real, Joel. You've got to get this girl to Tommy's. He used to run with this crew. He'll know where to go.
No. That was your crusade. I am not doing that.
Yes, you are. Look. There's enough here that you have to feel some sort of obligation to me, so you get her to Tommy's. They're here.
Now, this scene that I just played here was the scene that first pulled me into the Last of Us franchise, and I can't even remember where I was or how old I was at the time. All I remember is just the expert level of directing, writing and acting that completely enraptured me. I mean, once you watch this whole story, there are reasons, why this tragic scene makes sense. For one, Tess and Joel have a clearly established history, much of which is established through gestures impressively enough. So it's not like the game beats you over the head with it. The game shows you, it doesn't tell you anything. Also, through the dialogue and incredible voice acting, it's just obvious that they really care for each other. I mean, Tess is also heavily invested in the hope presented by Ellie and her condition. And, I say that to say her sacrificing her life so Joel and Ellie can move on, it not only tugged at our heartstrings for the sake of tugging at our heartstrings. I mean, it also makes fucking sense. You might think making sense is a necessary thing these days, but trust me guys, that's not always the case. That's not always the case at all. Just think golfing. Now on to the next scene.
Surgery.
The doctors tell me the cordyceps, the growth inside her, has somehow mutated. It's why she's immune. Once they remove it, they'll be able to reverse engineer a vaccine. A vaccine.
But it grows all over the brain.
It does.
Here we have another simple but powerful scene, guys. And I'll be real with you guys, this is one of my favorite scenes that I've ever seen in a video game or film, really. Notice how delicate but powerful the dialogue is. And when Marlene responds about the fungus or what have you growing around the brain, she replies with 2 fucking words, guys. 2 words. She said, "It does." And the way this scene was directed is so delicate, so profound. It speaks to Marlene's years-long relationship with Ellie and Ellie's mom, and even more heartbreaking than that, it speaks to what Marlene believes must be done. Her tone is soft, sad, and yet firm with resolve. It's just incredible directing, incredible writing, incredible acting, guys. Best of all, it's totally believable. Marlene helped to raise Ellie more or less, right? She loves Ellie in her own way, and so her pain here is evident and logical. However, she also has the radical Firefly aspect and this savior complex that they seem to possess, which ultimately overrides her love for Ellie. So we see the love and we see the resolve, and no one had to beat us over the head with a golf club. It was just simply perfect. Now, Obviously, a lot of people are hurt over Joel's passing. I'm one of them, but it's not that I believe Joel shouldn't die. That's not the problem. The problem here is that he broke character in order to work as a bullshit plot device. I'm not sure why people can't understand that. Characters have to do things that are aligned with their behaviors, and if you're going to subvert expectations, these actions have to make sense within a certain context. For instance, if Joel is going to go home to get cozy with 28 killers armed to the teeth whom he has never met in his life, as a man who survived an apocalypse for more than a quarter century, then there has to be something reflected in the script which somewhat explains this lack of judgment or this subversion in hindsight. In other words, something has to prepare you to believe that this action taken is possible. There was no such thing for Joel. He simply did it because that's the plot. Another thing that was damaging to the story was the fact that Joel did nothing that absolutely justified his death. In the simplest terms, this is what really happened. Joel refused to let the Fireflies cut his daughter open to maybe create a cure that they would maybe use to save the world if they could find a way to mass produce and distribute it effectively, and then kill the doctor. He also killed the doctor, guys. He killed the doctor for trying to kill his daughter through surgery without her consent, after that doctor threatened Joel's life. Think about that for a second. Why should these actions make me think Joel deserved to die to the point where it didn't even need to make sense? That's poor writing. Notice in the clips I broke down before, each character's actions aligned with their history. They all acted accordingly, but that doesn't mean it wasn't impactful, right? That didn't even mean it was predictable. It all just made sense and delivered the ultimate emotional impact. There are things that Last of Us 2 got right, alright? There are scenes in that game that are very well directed and very terrifying, displaying human beings at their most violent. The dialogue and such were not as impressive as the first game. A lot of the directing style with dialogue was quite different and not of the same quality or taste, honestly. However, that's not what ruined the experience of the story, in my opinion. It was simply bad characterization and forced storylines. It also didn't help that the story continuously tried to force Abby down our throats. I mean, with guns like those, there's no way that was going to work, but I digress. And I'm not one of these people who didn't enjoy Abby's story. It was okay. I mean, she was more interesting than Ellie. Let's keep it real here, guys. She was more interesting than Ellie, mostly due to the fact that they're trying to sell her so hard. But also, Ellie was way more interesting and lively as a kid, but that's a whole other story. Bottom line is, I wish they had put more care into the dialogue and characterizations like they did the last time and gave us more scenes similar to the one I'm about to end this video with. Instead, we had Joel dying a brutal, unnecessary death and hours of a forced narrative with Abby. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to hit like, and if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. And without further ado, here goes one of my favorite scenes that I've ever seen in a video game. Until next time, guys. Bang Guy out.
This place takes me back.
How so?
It was right after everything went down. I ended up in a triage just like this. And everywhere you looked, you just saw families torn apart. The whole damn world seemed to have turned upside down in a blink.
Is that after you lost Sarah?
Yes, it was.
I can't imagine losing someone you love like that. Losing everything that you know. I'm sorry, Joel.
That's okay, Ellie.